junk that can carry bacteria that can really make you sick. Plus, we formulated it to help extend the shelf life of your fresh produce too, and that'll save you money. When your berries are lasting up to 10, 12 days, you know that's a good thing. It helps your produce last up to 5 times longer using a natural blend of fruit acids and antioxidants. So there's no chemicals. It's just clean eating fun. And this can help save your family an average of over $500 per year. Make it easy on yourself, reduce waste, and get that fruit and veggies into your body, where it's going to do you a lot of good and not in the trash. Check us out, eatcleaner.com, or head to our Amazon store at amazon.com/eatcleaner.
Well, yeah. And I think, you know, and I want to get my baseline redone because what you're saying to me right now, I'm like, okay, everything is a moving target until you have the numbers, right? And we're only responding to what we feel, but the numbers are going to tell an actual story of what we need to take a closer look at. If you're a person that, you know, you analyze me and you're like, Maria, you've got this, that, and the other, just kind of bonkers. How do you balance? Like, I know the people out there, because I've had many people comment on recipes that I've posted, and they'll say things like, well, I don't eat eggs because my cholesterol, or I don't eat, you know, animal meat because of my cholesterol. Like, what do I substitute? What do you say to people like that if their cholesterol is too low and it could be affecting their libido, their sex drive, and all of the other things that we've talked about?
I mean, I think I would probably just start with, it would have to be an educational type moment, right? And just explain to them the role cholesterol plays.
Do you think, let me ask you, is that a misnomer? Is it a misnomer that that eating eggs and eating meat will increase your cholesterol, or is there a truth to that? Because there's both sides to the story.
I think there's two sides to the story. And I think my whole philosophy and our philosophy here, everything in balance. You know, you got to manage everything. Everything has to be in a certain balance with each other, everything in moderation. So so I think it really plays a role. I wouldn't be eating, you know, really fatty meats and fatty eggs every single day, right? But I personally would eat the egg too. I mean, if you are, and I know a lot of people that just do the egg whites, right, to try and avoid, but it depends on where you're at. It's really hard to answer, Maria, because if you are like really high cholesterol, that's really bad too, right? But and that's just the thing. Majority of people, if their cholesterol is high, it is high, right? And if it's low, it's not so low that it may or may not make an effect. So if it's low, I mean, you would be talking like really, really low.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Well, and I think, you know, there's so many other systems that are in effect if you're exercising, what your age is, and all of that good stuff. So,
and exercise is wonderful. Everyone should be exercising. Everyone should be eating, you know, like you talk about eating healthy and clean eating and all of that. It's just when we take it to extremes, it really plays a negative role in our bodies.
I think that is so important for everybody listening, because I think as human beings tend to be extremists. You know, we swing like pendulums. We go from, you know, being in one camp where we're just completely out of control, and then to complete deprivation. And there's got to be this place in the middle, this place where we can live in moderation. Let's talk, because we're coming up on Valentine's Day. All right. And, you know, boy, if you're a person who's like, okay, I guess for one time out of the year, I need to please my partner. This is for you. Okay. So it doesn't feel good when you don't have a drive, and it doesn't feel good for your partner either.
Absolutely.
How do you even just take that first step of saying, you know what, I do see that it's something is happening. I don't feel sexy anymore, or I just am never in the mood, or I just feel so tired. You know, they get their blood test, or they get their saliva test rather, and they get the diagnosis, and they're like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be that next, you know, to kind of take on that next role of being present and being engaged. How do you motivate people to take that step? Because I think let's just face it. It's a lot easier to just be like, I'm tired, or I got a headache,
I think when people come to the realization that they want to get a saliva test, they're already there. They're ready to move forward with what to do to fix them. I mean, I have so many couples that come in here and the spouse will be like, can you fix my wife, or can you fix my husband? Like, this is what we're going through, and we're ready to do something about it, because it does affect relationships, right? At the end of the day, if your relationship's suffering, if it's something you want to fix, you are going to go the next step to get there. If you're at that step where you took that saliva test, what's the point of taking the saliva test if you're not going to do something about it after, right? So let's say you take the saliva test. You have exactly what you said, no or low libido. You're exhausted all the time. You can't really think. You have all this brain fog, right? And let's say your saliva test come back and says, hey, your testosterone is like super low, for example. Even your estrogen might be a little bit low too. Once you start to replace it, you'll see differences within the first week. I mean, even some people, even a couple of days, depending on how low they were and how much testosterone, for example, you give them. So over here at the Remedy Pharma, let me just preface a little bit. We use bioidentical hormone replacement. That's very different than the traditional hormone replacement, which is like, chemically derived and synthesized. All of our products we make in-house in our compounding lab, and it's made from wild yams. And it's not soy-based. Before, people used to do soy-based. Now we know all of these, people sensitivities to soy and all that kind of stuff. So it's all wild yam-based on our hormones. And that is chemically, structurally so similar or almost identical to what we as humans produce naturally, believe it or not. Yeah. So you have like less side effects, you have, less potential for X, Y, and Z. Don't need to get into it right now. But what we would do is you start with the replacement. And like testosterone, for example, we usually do a lot of creams, especially for women. Women are on testosterone, believe it or not. They are. They'll start somewhere low, like maybe 2 milligrams per gram.
I have several friends that are using the creams. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And cream is so well absorbed in your body. It's hypoallergenic basis. It's minimal ingredients in there. Like, it's literally the testosterone, maybe a wetting agent, and then the base. That's it. Right. So it's super natural. No preservatives or anything like that. So you can apply that. That'll help raise your testosterone levels gradually. And when you're starting bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, you want to get your levels checked like 3 months in, because it takes about 3 cycles to kind of regulate. Yeah. And that's across the board for everybody. You would want to wait about 3 cycles before kind of throwing in the towel and be like, hey, this didn't work, because it does take time. Yeah. And then you would get things checked. If you want to address the low libido, or let's say like the vaginal dryness, we have topical creams that you can apply directly vaginally for women. And that would be very similar to those estradiol creams that are on the market. But there's one called estriol. It is you have 3 different types of estrogen in your body. The estriol is absorbed vaginally way better than the other 2, produces amazing effects. And a lot of women do very well on this to help with their vaginal atrophy, to help with their dryness, all the pain during sex, because that can, that psychologically messes you up and says, hey, I don't want sex because it hurts too much. You know what I mean? So even if you have a little bit of a libido, it's just going to do that. And that is within the first week. Women feel a very big difference on that too. And then you just do a little bit of a maintenance dose. Mm-hmm. We also make screen creams here. And that's exactly what you would think it is. It's a combination of Viagra, so sildenafil. It has aminophylline in it. It has L-arginine in it, which is a really great product. I can go into a whole big thing on L-arginine if I wanted. It helps with circulation. It helps with oxygenation of that area. It helps with your nitric oxide pathway, which is really helpful in all kinds of different things, especially even male erectile dysfunction. So combination of different things. It's a cream. You apply that, and you're good to go, and it'll really help you sexually as well. So a couple things I wanted to throw out there for you guys.
I think for everybody listening, forget about the flowers, forget about the chocolate. They're coming to you.
Yes, okay? Please do. We would love to take care of you guys.
To you because you've got the answers. So let me, just as a food person, I'm going to play kind of, the other side of
Let's do it
a little bit. Yes. Okay. So why can't we fix this with food? You talk about wild yam. Why can't we eat yams?
Why not table yams?
Huh?
Table yams are different than the wild yams.
Okay, let's talk about that. What's the difference? What do you get from taking, something that's in a capsule versus actually eating a food. Maybe it's not the same exact thing, but maybe does something similar.
This might be a little bit outside of my expertise. However, I feel that what's extracted from the wild yam in concentration and quantities is different than what you would be able to consume. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. And I take just a regular vitamin every day. It's just a women's vitamin. And it has wild yam. It has black cohosh. Perfect. It has a whole laundry list of different vegetable extracts. Like it's a really, really, really complete food-based supplement. And I would just highly recommend for people out there to take a look right now if they're taking any sort of supplements, to really evaluate the label. Because I think what ends up happening is people get into this also fatigue of supplement taking. You know, they've got a supplement for their stress, and they got a supplement for their their gut health, and they've got it's like, okay, can we get more laser focused in how we address our whole body?
Yeah.
And I want to just touch on our hormonal systems and why it's so important that we handle the situation aside from our sex drive. Okay. Aside from feeling desire, why is it important to get your hormonal systems in check for your overall health, from just like protecting your organs and your system?
It's to make everything more efficient and your body, move the way it's supposed to. I mean, even your thyroid plays a role here. That's the amazing thing.
Can it affect your heart health if you don't?
Absolutely, yeah.
It can affect your cardiovascular health? Can it affect your nervous system?
I would say so.
Yeah.
But it really affects even like diabetes, like things that you don't think they're correlated. It's really amazing. Like low thyroid, that affects your sex hormones, that affects like your periods, and that can affect whether or not you can get pregnant, because it'll affect your progesterone, and you need progesterone because it's progestational. It's really helpful in that gestational process for a woman's body, for example. Insulin sensitivity, I mentioned it before. Like these are some things that are just like there. And insulin sensitivity, that goes to your renal kidneys, so it's for your kidney function. It helps with your adrenal function. It's really mind-blowing, honestly, how deep it really goes and how much it plays a role across the board.
Okay, so I'm gonna challenge everybody and encourage everybody that's listening to do the saliva test. So how do we do it if we're not in the Southern California area?
So what I can do is we can mail it out. Essentially, it's basically it's a kit. I wish I had one on me. I don't, but it's a kit. It comes with 4 different vials in it. One is a really long vial that you would, it's saliva. You're going to spit into this vial. So so you pull the spit and you spit into it throughout the day. So the first one is within 30 minutes of waking up for the day, and you can rinse your mouth out, but wait 5 minutes. Don't brush your teeth. Don't, eat anything like that. And then you would spit into this vial and fill it at least halfway so it can get analyzed, not including the bubbles. Then the other 3, you do the same thing. You would do it right before lunch, but at least 2 hours after breakfast. So you're not going to be snacking. So this is what I tell people. I'm like, try not to snack all day, because you need a 2-hour like fasting period so that it doesn't like taint the sample in any way. Then, so you would do it right before lunch, and then you would do one right before dinner, and then you would do the last one before you go to bed at night. So the very first one you do in the morning, that's the one that's going to be testing all of your morning hormones. That's what we talked about: the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, sulfate, and then a cortisol. And then the other 3 are going to be testing your cortisol and how it fluctuates throughout the day, and kind of give us a nice little graph. And then based on that graph and based on the ranges that are appropriate for your age and everything for you specifically, you can take it to a doctor, you can take it to a nurse practitioner, someone, and they can kind of analyze it and decide what type of hormones or what you should be doing or how to help facilitate X, Y, or Z for you. But we provide the saliva sample. We provide the kit for you guys. We can help, and I can always consult you. We do consultations here as well, 30-minute, 1-hour consultations, whatever you want to do.
And that's something that you can do online, I guess.
Yeah, we could do Zoom. Absolutely. And I have one of my coworkers, she's been doing hormones also for like over 20 years. And she's been like an expert in this field as well. So we have